What's going on, everyone? And today we've got a fun one for you because we're trying out the other 4-drop leader from set 4, Major Vonreg, which honestly I've been playing around with and I've had a good experience so far. Before I dive into exactly where we're playing, some new cards, and of course the overall strategy with this deck, I just want to say a big thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. I have a TCG player link in the description down below. So let's talk about Vonreg here. This guy is pretty fun. We've got an action to play a vehicle unit from your hand. If you do, you give another unit +1/+0 for this phase. So kind of like a Boba Fett Daimyo ability where you play a unit, you play more units, you pump up your previous units, you hopefully get in some extra damage. That's the goal here. So you don't need a vehicle unit to be played on turn 1. Because of that, we've got a couple of units like Crafty Smuggler, which are really nice as shielded units, kind of guaranteed to live. We're also testing out some Lux Bonteri. I mentioned this card in my previous video. Some of the cards that you might want to take a look at. This is a card that I've had some good experience with so far. And if your opponent doesn't actually deal with this kind of immediately, you can actually get in a lot of damage. Now, you could deal with it immediately, and it does have a bad matchup against Crafty Smugglers and things like that. So you just have to be wary about that. But the rest of the curve here is just going to be a bunch of vehicles, right? We got a couple early game vehicles as well. It's just units that are solid as space units. Into Lurking Typhanda, which works really well with Vonreg deploys. 7th Fleet, nice little sturdy vehicle. Stolen AT Hauler, this one's going to be dependent on matchup, right? Some matchups is going to be pretty good against, some matchups it's not going to be that great. Vonreg's Tie, just straight up as a unit, if you put Vonreg on Vonreg's Tie, you just get raid 1, which is really, really nice. So it's a 4-powered attacker with Overwhelm. Triple Dark Ray with a bunch of vehicles later on, including Fett's Fire Spray, Razor Crest. Putting Vonreg on Razor Crest lets you bounce something, oftentimes a 4-drop. Ruthless Raider and Devastator with Triple Dark Raid as targets. Really, really nice there. Mando as a pilot helps be a little bit of a tempo play. We've got some events as well, some waylays, some no good to me deads to disrupt, surprise strike and punch hits as pump ups and hits, shoot downs, which I'm trying as well. A little bit of space unit interaction, which could be really helpful, especially if we're going with stolen AT Hauler and things like that, but also a more aggressive version of that. Overall, we're kind of just getting in with some bunches of damage and hoping to kind of dominate our opponent overall. Lurking Tie particularly works really well with Vonreg, so I'm hoping to see that interaction where we just put this and now it's a 5/5 that attacks for 7 that can't be capture damaged or defeated, which is looking pretty good. And we'll see what we can do. Of course, Nabat Village, again, more testing. I think it's actually pretty good in the more aggressive decks, which is what we're doing here. So we're going to see how it interacts with everything. All that said, let's dive into some games and test out some Major Vonreg here. And for our first matchup, we've got a fun one up against Wedge Red, which I am quite interested to see what my opponent's going to be doing over there. No Tarkin Town, which I think is pretty advantageous for us. I'm going to resource, well, a bunch of things here. I don't really care for the Ruthless Raider. I think my opponent's going to be able to dominate that AT Hauler, so we're going to resource those. Obviously, Ruthless Raider doesn't do a whole lot when it's in your opening hand versus Triple Dark raiding it out. I do want a space unit, so obviously we're going to keep that Cartel Spacer. I think Lurking Tie is going to be pretty bad as well, so I'm going to resource those, but I'm going to keep the Vonreg's Interceptor because it might end up being pretty good for us here. Let's go Cartel Spacer. Let's go ahead and claim Initiative as well. And, Shoot Down. I think I will go with the Shoot Down here on turn 1. Ooh, yeah, let's go with the Shoot Down. I like Shoot Down here. It's a little bit awkward because we're not going to be able to use our full resources, but it also prevents our opponent from doing something too crazy. And now we're just going to get in some damage into this red 3. Because my opponent's probably going to be putting a pilot on that, and I don't want it to be too crazy for us to deal with. That's a Nien. Okay, so Nien Yub comes out. We got a Lux Bonteri. Lux is pretty sweet in this matchup. I'm not going to lie, guys. Vonreg's Tie, probably not something that I care about here. Let's go ahead and let's play a vehicle and pump up the Cartel Spacer to actually kill out the Nien or kill off the red 3. They're going to go ahead and get in some damage. That's fine. We're going to finish off that unit. Leia Organa was not something I was really expecting. But now my opponent kind of has to kill off this Lux Bonteri with their Leia. Do I want to... I think I'll just pass here. Ooh, Razor Crest. That could be good. Another shoot down, probably not what I care about here. Attack Lux Bonteri makes a good amount of sense. I think what I'll do is play a Razor Crest, pumping up the TIE Silencer. And we'll see if my opponent has like a 5-drop or something. Because if they do, that's going to be pretty unfortunate. But in this case, they have a Millennium Falcon. They could put a Chewbacca on that. I am going to be putting this onto the Razor Crest to bounce that Millennium Falcon and prevent them from doing anything like that. They're going to activate Reg. Are they going to go into the ground arena? They are. Let's go ahead and get in for 4 then. Let's go ahead and claim initiative. And that's a Fet's Fire Spray, which I don't really care for too much. I think I'll resource probably the Fet's Fire Spray. And we're just going to go Triple Dark Raid here to start. If we hit like a Ruthless Raider, oh, Devastator, you say? Oh, Devastator, you say? Well, that's a pretty nice one. I don't mind that one at all. Let's go ahead and just get in for 3 here, and then get in with the Razor Crest, and then get in with the Devastator. I was hoping for something decent, and we ended up grabbing a pretty good one. I'm not going to lie, guys. That is a Devastator. That was pretty sweet, and they are in trouble. They are in trouble. They are in trouble. We got 2 lethal threats on the board. They've got a Bright Hope. Sure. We're going to get in for some damage. Let's pump up this TIE Silencer. And what do you got, opponent? Okay. They are going to be dying. Devastator, huh? I mean, we hit the Ruthless Raider, which is what I was hoping for. And that would have finished off the Leia as well. And we still would have been in a good spot for sure. But we wouldn't have been that dominant by any means with that situation, because Devastator gets in for a total of, 9 damage. Well, total of 12, actually, because we killed the Leia, right? Whereas the Ruthless Raider would have only gotten in for 6. So double the damage. We still would have been in a good spot, right? Because if we got in with this, we still would have been 7 over. Or actually, no, we got in with that. So we actually still would have been, or we would have been a little bit short in terms of damage. So I think we still could have finished it out, especially since we had the Devastator in hand, which means we could have just claimed initiative, played out the Devastator, hit them for 4, which would have finished it out. Or I guess that would have been Ruthless Raider, right? So we would have been able to Ruthless Raider this turn for another 2 damage. So I guess that's one thing. I don't know. Very, very close, but Devastator was a good hit, and that helped us finish it off. So on to the next. Okay, our opponent is taking a mulligan. They've got Rey over here. I'm curious as to whether or not they're going to go with a space strategy, or they're going to go with a more ground strategy in typical Rey. Lurking TIE Phantom, I'm assuming, is going to be pretty good against them. I will go ahead and resource one of these waylays. I will go ahead and resource probably this Cartel Spacer. Yeah, and probably this Crafty Smuggler, because I just want to go with the Silencer here. People are playing set 4. That makes me think they're going to go a little bit more space oriented, but they just have the R2, which is definitely a good one for us to see, because I'm not really all that worried about the R2D2 here. The Lurking TIE Phantom can be played and can get through a Concord Dawn, right? Because if they play a Concord Dawn, then we will be able to go ahead and cut through that. So let's just go ahead and play the Lurking TIE Phantom, pumping up the TIE Silencer. It's going to give it 4 power. I'm pretty happy with this, just because our opponent, if they play that Sentinel like Concord Dawn, we're going to be able to cut through it. If they don't, we get in for 4 damage, which is 1 bonus damage, which is really nice. Let's go ahead and get in for 4. Let's see if they decide to go play something afterwards. They do play that Restored Arc. Okay. That's totally fine. I think we just waylay that, to be honest. Ooh, Triple Dark Raid. Oh, no, we got the Surprise Strike. I think I'm changing my mind here. I think I'm going to resource this Razor Crest and just go Cartel Spacer and then, exhaust the... We're going to have +1/+0 and exhaust the Restored Arc. And then we're going to be able to go Surprise Strike him for a lot of damage here. Concord Dawn, huh? Okay, we'll just trade off then. That's fine. Totally fine. They're going to get in for some damage. Sure. They probably should have put an experience on that, in my opinion. Let's pilot this onto the Lurking Tie, and let's Surprise Strike in for a lot of damage here. Surprise Strike in for a whopping 10 damage. That's going to be pretty nice. Pass, 7 fleet, not a bad one, but definitely better options here. The Concord Dawn Interceptors was the option they decided to go with on the following turn, maybe because they were holding on to it, and the Restored Arc is just going to be a little bit better for the situation that they had. Of course, I don't know, but definitely looks worse when we have the TIE Silencer in play. Let's go with the Lurking TIE Fandom in for 7. That's a lot of damage. And now my opponent kind of has to take initiative, right? If they don't, they're pretty bad shape. If they do, we just Triple Dark Raid, and we probably hit something that's going to be able to win. So let's go Triple Dark Raid, and we hit Fire of Vonreg's TIE. Ugh, not exactly a card that I was really hoping for. Let's go Vonreg's TIE. Ruthless Raider would have been excellent. They're going to go on an attack in. They're going to say GG. I could take initiative here, but because they're attacking in, it's a little bit odd. So I'm just going to attack in as well. We have the Waylay to mess up with any Sentinels. They've got nothing, so we're just going to attack in. I was thinking that maybe they were trying to stall to see if they could get anything. I could have taken initiative any time. I was sitting at 3 resources. They could have had like a Concord Dawn. So if I took initiative and they played a Concord Dawn, suddenly we're in actually a lot worse position, because we play, let's say, a Triple Dark Raid. We hit, the best thing is Vonreg's TIE Interceptors next turn. Then we attack into their Concord Dawn. Our Lurking TIE probably gets killed off by one of their space units. They deploy Ray. They're suddenly restoring 3. I think we would have lost. So I think that it was pretty important to kind of wait it out just to see what my opponent would have had. Because they could have had a nice option there in like a Concord Dawn Interceptors. But we ended up getting there anyways. And our opponent's playing pretty standard Ray Red. Nothing new from set 4. So I guess that's what we should have expected, huh? Into our next matchup, a pretty fun one here, up against the Han Blue. I'm going to resource this Fet's Fire Spray and the Crafty Smuggler. I'm going to go with the Lux Bonteri. There's a good chance that my opponent's playing a bunch of space units and pilots because they're playing the Han Solo, which of course doesn't really do a whole lot unless you are playing a bunch of vehicles, so you can deploy Han, and playing a bunch of odd units. So let's go ahead and go shoot down into the resource. We're going to put a 7th Fleet and probably a No Good to Me Dead here. And then we're just going to deploy the Lux Bonteri and see what my opponent's got on turn 1 here. Cartel Turncoat. Okay, let's go ahead and claim initiative. Foresight, huh? Fun. And an R2D2. And that is exactly why the Lux Bonteri is pretty awesome. Because we get to ready up the Lux Bonteri. We get a turn 1 attack, baby. Turn 1 attack. That is awesome. And we have the Waylay, which is going to be awesome as well. They're going to reveal so they can draw a card with Foresight. That makes sense. We're just going to get in for 3 damage. Oh, I claimed initiative. I didn't even, I forgot that is what we did. That's totally fine. Let's go ahead and resource. I don't want a resource here. I suppose a Cartel Spacer is fine. I think what we'll do is just waylay this. Get rid of both their units, upgrades, whatever. Let's go ahead and get in an attack for 3. The Shuttle Tidium, huh? To Dirium. Woo, that was completely wrong. Okay, they've got a Village Protectors. Let's go Razor Crest here. Oh, I should have used the Vonreg's action. Duh. I'm playing Major Vonreg, guys, and I was so focused on what I plan on doing this turn that I forgot that I could do other things this turn. Let's go ahead and put this as a pilot. Wait. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to deploy as a pilot. There we go. And we'll bounce the village protectors. Get in for 3 here. They can replay the village protectors if they want, but that's just going to be a nice little value play here. They can get an attack. They're probably going to have an odd costs. Their deck looks completely like odd costs, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did. What do you got, opponent? Come on, let's see. Oh. They should have gotten an extra attack, right? Or an extra damage? Oh, it's different odd costs. Again, it's a 3-drop. Okay. Let's get in for 3. We'll pass. We've got another Razor Crest and another Lux Bonteri. Not exactly what I wanted to be seeing here, but I suppose it's fine. I'll resource that Lux Bonteri. I should have passed on turn 1 with Lux. That would have been pretty cool. Oh, they're going to spare the target, huh? Interesting. I suppose I could kill off the Cartel Turncoat just to draw an extra card and see what my opponent's going to do. This also prevents them from having more options to ready up resources with Han. They've got a Cartel Turncoat Part 2. Okay, let's go with a 7th Fleet. Tidarium coming in. Concord Dawn Interceptor has the resource. Let's go Lux Bonteri. They're going to be able to ready up, get 3 additional resources back. So pretty nice play from them, by all means. Let's go ahead and claim initiative. We've got to punch it to deal with... Oh. Boshek. We can kill off the shuttle Tidarium. What do they discard? Trace Martez. And they played a Foresight, huh? That was a pretty lucky draw from them. It's pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie, guys. I like this Han deck. I think that what they've got going on here is really clever. And I'm very happy to see it. They had the Foresight, which is really kind of the nail in the coffin. Both... Did I claim initiative already? I might have claimed initiative already. The Foresight's really the nail in the coffin to prevent us from just getting some free value here. Ooh, Waylay, huh? Oh, Waylay is pretty good here as well. Let's go punch it to deal with the shuttle Tidarium. Is that what you say, Tidarium? Yeah, I think that's how you say it. Someone in the comments is like, how could you call it that? It's not the shuttle Tidarium. All right, let's see what my opponent's got. They can't put another pilot on the Cartel Turncoat. They've got the Village Protectors coming in. Sure. Let's get in for 4 here. See what my opponent's going to do. They're just going to get in for 6. Let's go with a Silencer here. And then they're going to claim initiative. We're just going to waylay this Village Protectors back so we can get in another 3 and then pass. Ooh, Cartel Spacer is actually really good here because we can actually exhaust this Cartel Turncoat, which I really do think is going to be a pretty nice one to do. Cartel Spacer plus Fet's Fire Spray this turn is pretty nice. Okay, they're going to get in some damage here. I think that makes sense. Let's go ahead and finish that off then. Draw a card. It's the Mando. Don't mind that one at all. Mando coming in. I think we'll just go ahead and put this guy on. Yeah, let's go ahead and put this guy as a pilot onto the Silencer. Get in for 6. Then we'll play a Fet's Fire Spray. They can go in and deal 1 to their Han Solo. Dealing 1 to the base. That's really surprising. I would have expected 100% to deal 1 to the Han Solo. Okay, let's go ahead and just surprise strike in for 9 damage. And that's game, I guess. Really odd conclusion to that whole shenanigans. Love what my opponent's doing, by the way. Got a lot of cool things going on. I honestly had I think I was playing too fast. I was forgetting about our Lux. But this is a great matchup where, as an example, Lux is really, really strong. Now, my opponent had a lot of cheap things to do, so they were able to kind of avoid a little bit of that. But things like pilot decks, you're going to get a continuous kind of stream of value. And they had village protectors. They had things like foresight to pump up the toughness to avoid a lot of damage and things like that. But they were able to draw an absurd amount of cards, especially with like Bo Shek coming in and drawing in 2 cards. They had the foresight, drawing them an extra card every turn. All that type of stuff is really impactful. And I should have passed more often to prevent my opponent from really doing things like that because of Lux being a threat. But I definitely should have considered that as going through. Into our next matchup, and this is a matchup where I am quite excited about. Because of Lux Bonteri here, Piet's one of those cards where we could potentially get a lot of value from it. Of course, they could go Super Laser Technician and kind of ruin some of our game plans and things like that. We just have to be a little bit careful. I'm going to go and resource a couple of these, and we're going to go with that Lux Bonteri on turn 1 here, which is going to be pretty good, assuming they're going to want to go capital ships early on into the game, but we will figure it out. They're going to go ahead and, do they have a Outlaw Corona? Turn 1 attack, baby. There we go. Lux Bonteri coming in with some value. Love seeing that. Let's go Ruthless Raider here as the resource. Do I want to go Triple Dark Raid? I don't really have anything to really kill off this Outlaw Corona, so I think I'm just going to resource that and get down this 7th Fleet Defender here. Let's go ahead and get in an attack. Let's play out this 7th Fleet Defender, pump up that Lux Bonteri. And I do like our situation here. Get in for 4. Pass. What do they have? Ooh, we've got another Lux Bonteri. Do we want to play this or that this turn? It's a good question. I don't think we do. Yeah, let's go Lux Bonteri. They're going to want to play a space unit here for sure. I guess they could deploy Piet first. So let's go ahead and play a vehicle. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. We're going to play a vehicle, give +1/+0 to the 7th Fleet Defender. And then we will go ahead and deploy this as a pilot onto the 7th Fleet. I'm going to finish off the Lux Bonteri. Sure. We can give +1/+0 to the Cartel Spacer. They got a resupply carrier. Sure. Let's go ahead and claim initiative. Ooh, punch it, huh? Ooh, I really like that, actually. Let's go punch it to attack in for 4 here. And we'll see. My opponent doesn't really have... They're going to resupply, huh? All right, let's get in for 6 here then. Because now they're forced to take initiative. They could attack, but that's pretty bad for them. I think they're forced to take initiative. And if we get like a Ruthless Raider here, the game's over. What do you got, opponent? Resupply carrier coming in. So they could go Ruthless Raider of their own. I think I will go Triple Dark Raid. We've got Razor Crest and Stolen AT. I'll just take the Razor Crest since it's, kind of a free play. The Stolen AT Hauler they could potentially kill. I don't know what. But we'll just get in for 3, and then we will have lethal with multiple different threats here, which is really nice. They could have like a Devastator, I suppose, which would be really bad. Ooh. That's the only thing that works out poorly for us. I was thinking they had a Ruthless Raider. Not that Devastator. I meant Big Devastator that gives Sentinel. That actually doesn't cause too many troubles for us. But there was a couple different options there. If I don't use Triple Dark Raid, I just claim initiative, I would have won, right? But then they could go like Ruthless Raider, kill my unit, and then I'm stuck with the Cartel Spacer, and then I go Triple Dark Raid and they finish that off potentially with their own Big Devastator, whatever it is. There's a lot of different things that could have happened based on what my opponents could play. But I'll say this, the Lux Bonteri doing some work with an Outlaw Corona coming down on turn 1. I think the Lux Bonteri second one, I probably should have not gone with that because they could just deploy Piet and attack into it. I was thinking maybe they would be too scared to. They deploy something earlier. We probably should have just gone with a different plan, but I do think that this card is doing some pretty good work here. But you do have to kind of change your thought process on it a little bit, which is something that I'm trying to learn how to do as we're playing these matches here. Back with a little bit of red action. We got a pretty reasonable hand here. It's a resource that, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, well, I meant to resource something else. Okay, let's go ahead and just put this down, and I suppose we will put that down. I was hoping to go tie silencer actually, turn 1, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and pass. Got ourselves lurking tie phantom or a Vonreg tie interceptor, both of which are pretty solid here. Suppose we'll figure out what we want to do. Concord Dawn interceptors. That's a pretty good card. It's a pretty good card. Let's go ahead and play. And this is exactly the reason why I wanted to go tie silencer, by the way. Let's go ahead and claim initiative here. We've got a lurking tie, which I don't really care about. We're going to go ahead and deploy this as a pilot onto the tie interceptor. And this is going to get raid 1 now and have overwhelm, which is pretty nice. Doesn't really change the fact that we're going to be able to get in for some damage. Oh my gosh, they got another tie. Or another Concord Dawn interceptors here. Let's go ahead and just hit the Sabine for 2, I suppose. Definitely a pretty strong start for my opponent in terms of what they're able to do. Wow, they just killed off their own unit with the Tarkin. I'm very surprised they decided to do that. As I was saying, definitely a good start for my opponent having double Concord Dawn interceptors, right? Shoot down could be an option. I think I'm going to resource this Fet's Fire Spray in this situation. And we'll see what my opponent's got. Very, very quick couple of game actions there. We had a lot of different things that could kill that Concord Dawn interceptors, which is why I went with the triple dark raid, right? Something like a stolen AT hauler could have killed it. A ruthless raider could have killed it. Lots of different options, realistically, which is pretty nice. Still waiting for our opponent. Looks like they've got a village protectors, which I'm not really that scared about. We're just going to get in for a casual 9. Let's get in for another 3. Let's play a 7th fleet and then pass. And I mean, we're sitting pretty, right? Razor Crest can go to the resource pile. We've got a bunch of lethal threats. Despite them having Concord Dawn Interceptor and Concord Dawn Interceptor, we were still able to get there. As I said, this TIE Interceptor is really excellent with Major Vonreg on it because we get that overwhelm, which is really nice. And it's a 4-powered space unit on turn 2, which is really, really nice as well. First game, we had the TIE Phantom. This game, we had the Vonreg's TIE Interceptor against the Rays. A lot of these matchups, though, seems like we're fighting against a lot of Concord Dawn Interceptors, which obviously is a good card and something that they have to think about when they're playing this deck because they do need some space contesting the space arena a little bit. We ended up rolling really well here in this hand. So we ended up fighting through it, and it was totally fine. All right, into the next matchup, and this one is a classic one. Fun, fun, fun. We've got ourselves Pre-Vizsla double red. Good stuff. Let's go to resource a couple cards here. I will go ahead and put it probably Cartel Spacer or the TIE Silencer on turn 1, so I don't care for Bonteri here. I don't think Larking TIE or Cartel Spacer is actually what I want to go with. I think I want to go with the TIE Silencer. My opponent's probably going to be playing some sort of ground unit, and that's exactly what happened. So we'll go TIE Silencer here and then pass. Stolen AT Hauler or Shoot Down. I don't think Shoot Down is going to be all that relevant either. So they've got a Daring Raid. That's totally fine. We're going to go Stolen AT Hauler. And we're going to go to Claim Initiative. And there's a Lux Bonteri, which could be okay. Nah, it's not actually that good, I don't think. I'm just going to go ahead and play the 7th Fleet to pump up my Stolen AT Hauler. And then they could have like Aggression, or they almost certainly are playing Aggression. So I think I'll just get in some damage. If I play Aggression, what happens here? They go deal 4, defeat my Vonreg. I think that's okay, honestly. I think that's okay. If they have Aggression to defeat Vonreg, yeah, I was expecting that. So they defeat the shield. I guess they kill the 7th Fleet, which is fine. But yeah, that's kind of what I expected. Deal 5 here. We're gonna claim initiative. Let's pass. they've kind of had a really good answer to everything that we've had so far, right? They had the daring raid into our unit. We had a second daring raid. Well, that's obviously pretty good as well. Let's get in for 3 here. This is obviously going really poorly. I said that I wouldn't really mind, but what they've had so far has been really good against us, to be honest. Let's go ahead and just deal to, I suppose, to really whatever. It doesn't really matter here. They can play the Stolen AT Hauler. They got Darksaber. Wow, what a hand from our opponent. They really have everything here. Game's over. That was a spectacular hand from my opponent. Turn 1 Bo-Katan into turn 2 2-drop plus daring raid to finish off my unit, plus turn 3 aggression into another daring raid to finish off my unit. Honestly, they didn't even need anything else. They would have just won, period, just with what they had. We were really close. If we hadn't gone with that direction, we would have deployed Vonreg, got in for 2 damage. So extra 2 damage, but still would have ended up in the same result. Really good stuff from our opponent. They just had a good hand, right? That was just a good hand against us. Double daring raid to deal with our units, plus the aggression to deal with another one of our units. That was awesome. I love seeing this type of stuff. The Darksaber Previsla is something that I've toyed around with a lot, and it's tough to make work. But if you draw the right combination of cards, it can be really excellent, as I have found with Double Red and Previsla myself. Cool stuff. All right, into our final matchup here against the Boba Yellow deck, which is another one where I think Lux Bonteri is pretty solid. I think I'm going to get rid of one of these surprise strikes, probably Earthless Raider, probably the Fet's Fire Spray, Lurking Tie, and maybe the Mandalorian. The reason why Lux Bonteri is pretty good here is, of course, any pilots, but Triple Dark Raid is super common. Super common. This works with Triple Dark Raid as well. So if they go with Triple Dark Raid, we're able to get readied up a unit or exhaust something else, which works excellently. There is the there's the Darth Vader, and guess what? We're gonna exhaust the silencer. It's awesome. Oh, I should have played it. I should have played a space unit to pump up the Lux Bonteri. I was too excited about Lux, guys. Ooh. It's always like those half second after where I'm like speaking of something and then I'm doing something and then I go to make my play and then I make my play too fast before my brain catches up. And, you know, we're sitting there sad. Devastator, probably not going to be the play here. Probably going to be the resource here because it's too expensive. Let's see what my opponent's got here as the following turn commences. The bot village going to be the attack. Sure. Oh, they're going to deal 1. Makes sense. Totally makes sense. Let's go ahead and attack in for 3 here. And my opponent is going to deal some damage here. Okay, I think we'll just take 1 on the base and 1 on the 7th Fleet. And the reason this is going to be the case is we will go ahead and play a vehicle, being the Cartel Spacer, pumping up the 7th Fleet, and we can exhaust something, doesn't really matter. We're going to finish off the Fet's Fire Spray and play the Crafty Smuggler and get in for 2. And that's a shoot down. Don't mind shoot down. Don't know if really I'm going to play it this turn. I think I'm going to resource this Razor Crest, though. And we'll see what my opponent wants to do with this Darth Vader up TIE Silencer. I think we're not in a great spot, to be honest. If we had like a Waylay or something or a No Good to Me Dead, it'd be kind of over, to be honest. But I guess we'll see what my opponent wants to do. Okay, we will take 1 to the Major Vonreg. In this stage, I will attack with Lux. Probably going to die. They're probably going to play like an IG 2000, something like that. That's Fire Spray. Okay, we're going to take 2 to Major Vonreg again. In that case, let's go with a Surprise Strike in for 5 into the Silencer. They've got a Reckless Gunslinger, huh? Okay, let's play out the Silencer or the Interceptor. Let's go ahead and get in for 2. This is not a great spot for us at all, specifically because they're going to have a Boba Fett deploy, which is going to be able to wipe out a lot of these units, right? And they're going to be able to get in for a ton of damage. I think even though the Darth Vader coming down was kind of sick with the Lux Bonteri, we needed to have like one of our Waylays or No Good to Me Deads to prevent that attack from continuously coming in. Imagine if our opponent was able to get down to Darth Vader and then just get an attack in. That's one of those things where, yeah, you can go with a smuggled option onto their TIE silencer, but the waylays or things like that just completely ruin you. It's a little bit of a risky play, and in this case, it absolutely paid off for my opponent. No doubt about it. We don't really have many options. Like, they're going to get an attack here. We just have to hold out hope that we're going to draw like a waylay. Or we can't even waylay here. Take a few points of damage here. They're going to get in some damage. No good to me dead is really our only option. That's assuming our opponent doesn't have anything else. But they do, right? Now we're just completely dead. There's nothing they can do. Or nothing we can do. It's going to be GG. Opponent's deciding what to do next. But there's nothing that we have. We're dead at that point. That was pretty sweet. Let's talk about Major Vonreg here, guys. All right, so what do we learn with Major Vonreg? Well, it's a pretty sweet list. The overall deck I'm pretty happy with. I think one of the cards that was maybe a little bit awkward, or two of them, I would say, is like the AT Hauler and Fett's Fire Spray. Didn't really feel like those cards really did anything in our list, or they were kind of cards that I oftentimes wanted to just resource. Everything else, there was a purpose for it, right? Cartel Spacer doing some occasional exhaust, the Crafty Smuggler being that really, really important shielded unit to trigger our Major Vonreg's ability. I was a little bit lax on using his ability. There was a couple times where I should have and I could have, but I didn't, which was obviously just my mistake. The Lux Bonteri actually performed very well. There was a lot of situations there where we just got a little bit of free value. I think Lux Bonteri is one of those cards where it's definitely going to be a 3-2 in some cases and just get daring rated or killed by a Crafty Smuggler. And then in other cases, it's going to pop off and exhaust a unit or ready up a couple units a couple times. Everything else about the deck, we got in really aggressive. 7 Fleet works really nice with Vonreg. Same with his TIE Interceptor, deploying them onto those units, or even the TIE Phantom, just really tough to deal with, to be honest. You know, a shielded 6/5 space unit is obnoxious. It is. Razor Crest bouncing things occasionally. Ruthless Raider, Devastator being really nice triple dark raid targets. I think all of those were nice additions. I think you could have gone the full 3 of Waylay, the full 3 of No Good to Me Deads, instead taking out the Fett's Fire Spray and maybe changing up a few other things. And that would have been pretty interesting. Shoot down worked pretty well as well. But I do think a little bit more interaction would have kept us in the game a little bit longer, right? Especially in that last game, for example, if one of our cards that we had in hand was a Waylay, that game would have been completely different because we wouldn't have had to interact with that unit across the board. We were just kind of outclassed as soon as turn 2 hit because of them having a 6/5 on the board when we had basically nothing, which was really important. So pretty cool stuff there, and that's pretty much Major Vonreg, guys. I think the card's pretty good. I think the deck is pretty interesting. And overall, it's just an aggressive, nice curve out potential deck, which did some work. So thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and I will see you all for a video very soon.